I watched My Little Pony the movie in the theater when it was first released in October 2017, which is exactly 6 years ago. Now I think it is a quite fitting time to take a close retrospective look at this movie, to see what it got right and what it got wrong, how this movie feels in general as well as in comparison to a new generation movie released in 2021. So, let's start from the beginning. The first minutes of the movie are pretty great, even though they deleted an opening scene which was supposed to introduce Tempest's shadow. The scene looks really amazing, but someone in Hasbro probably decided that it was a little too dark for young kids, so the scene got cut from the movie. They also replaced the song called Equestria, written by Daniel Ingram, with a ponified version of We Got the Beat by the Go-Go's. Probably Hasbro wanted the movie to have a more accessible opening with a catchy pop tune. They probably thought of kids who never saw a single episode of Friendship is Magic, but convinced their parents to buy tickets nonetheless, because it's a cartoon. But of course this movie is best enjoyed by those who are familiar with Friendship is Magic. However, Hasbro tried to make it more accessible to everyone by not using characters like Trixie or Starlight. The beginning is quite entertaining, Twilight overthinking everything, as usual. The song, Sia, the ponies are preparing for the Festival of Friendship, everything seems quite okay. But then Tempest, Shadow, Gruber and the Storm King's army arrive. Tempest Shadow, the best character of the movie. According to the Villains Wiki, a very respectable website, her hobbies include intimidating others and punishing anyone who stands on her way. Probably the biggest issue of this movie is how it handles princesses. Their uselessness here is on a completely different level. Celestia and Luna were not exactly useful in Friendship is Magic either, but at least there they face some truly serious universal threats such as T-Rex, who can literally consume anyone's magic and get both physically and magically stronger. Cadence alone managed to keep Sombra out of Crystal Empire for an indefinite amount of time, and Twilight herself fought multiple overpowered enemies. And Tempest Shadow, she's just a trained unicorn soldier with a broken horn, using a super powerful magical bow that we, for some reason, will never see in action again in this movie. Tempest manages to turn Celestia, Luna and Cadence into stone. And Cadence is the only one to try to confront Tempest. Instead of fighting, Celestia just yells to her sister to go and find some Queen of Hippos somewhere in the south. Twilight Sparkle, who is supposed to be a super strong magical alicorn, just runs away from Tempest and her battalion of stranger looking monsters known as the Storm Creatures. According to Wiki, their hobbies are being Storm King and Tempest Shadow. Their crimes include invasion, conquest, terrorism, and attempted world domination. Are they like Hamas or something? As I said, Twilight and her friends run from Tempest and her goons. Twilight heard about the Queen of Hippos and that she can be found somewhere in the south, so main 6 plus Spy go to the south. Meanwhile, Tempest and her terrorists take control of Kent Road, and it seems like nobody was able to put up a fight. Neither Royal Guard nor Wonderbolts. Probably the most successful military invasion in history. No surprise that bad guys made an attempt to conquer Equestria almost every season. Tempest promises the Storm King, who is the main bad guy, the power of all 4 Alicorn Princesses. But there is just one little problem. Twilight is gone. Tempest almost loses her crew and almost fries Gruber alive, but restrains herself in time. This is a pretty great scene actually. It showcases Tempest's short-temperedness, but also her military training, since she can easily take control of her emotions. So, as Twilight is gone, Tempest has to find her and bring her to Canterlot. Twilight and her friends stray through the desert until they find a slave town named Clutch Town, where they almost get captured by slavers and only get saved by Copper. This movie intentionally makes Twilight weaker. Twilight alone could easily turn all the slaves into ground meat. I'm pretty sure Rainbow and Applejack could too. At Copper's place, main 6 find out that they're searching for hippogriffs and not for hippos, and that they live on Mount Eris. Copper was gonna sell main 6 to a guy named Vorko, but unexpectedly, Tempest arrived at Clutch Town. She somehow found Twilight even though she didn't know which direction Twilight went. I suppose Tempest heard Celestia too and knew that Twilight was going to the south. My explanation for how Tempest found Main 6 is that she knew that Twilight was looking for hippogriffs, and Tempest obviously knew where Mount Eris was. She was the one to conquer it for the Storm King after all, and was searching around the vicinity of Mount Eris. Even so, it was such a huge log that she and Main 6 arrived almost at the same time. Also, too bad we didn't see the journey from Canterlot to the Southern Desert, not even in a montage with cool music like in the new generation. Could have been pretty cool, honestly. Maybe Hasbro was worried about runtime too much. The movie is almost 100 minutes long after all. Tempest scares the hell out of Twilight, and I don't blame her. Tempest does look big and intimidating. She doesn't even need bows for that. Her big magical bows that can turn anyone into a piece of rock. I must admit that Tempest's unstable magic does look effective. Her design is great too. Main 6 escapes. Twilight does not even attempt to fight for some reason, and they end up on board a flying ship. The whole sequence on a pirate ship is my favorite part of the whole movie. The pirates, especially Captain Solana voiced by Zoe Saldana, the ship design, the song Time to Be Awesome, my favorite song from the movie. Everything looks good and the animation is gorgeous. Plus Ingram's score, a perfect sea adventure atmosphere. One thing that still bothers me though, Rainbow Dash encourages former pirates to return to their illegal business. They had a job, yes, not the best job ever, but at least not robbing and killing people, just transporting merchandise for a robber and killer. Solana, however, insists that they are not really pirates, but more like treasure hunters, sorta similar to Nathan Drake. But of course we're not gonna trust her. Why all this pirate stuff then? The Mount Eris where hippogriffs dwell is literally visible from Clutch Town, but on the map of Equestria it seems kind of far off, so an entire mountain should not be visible from Clutch Town, only its uppermost part. Unless the map is not accurate, or maybe the planet where Equestria is located is too small compared to Earth. The part with hippogriffs is also great. The soundtrack, the build-up, the suspense, everything is good. Hippogriffs have a magical pearl that can turn anyone into anything. Hippogriffs turned themselves into sea ponies because they were afraid of being enslaved by the Storm King. Twilight wants to use this pearl to fight the Storm King's army by turning ponies into stronger creatures. Not sure how this would have worked, honestly. Why couldn't Pegasi and unicorns of Equestria fight off the Storm King's stocks? What's so special about them? Queen Nova refuses to give the pearl to Twilight, after which Twilight attempts to steal it. Ponies get kicked out, Twilight and Pinkie fight, Twilight finally gets captured by Tempest, which leads to the most emotional part of the movie. Open up your eyes. Gorgeous animation, and we learn Tempest's backstory. This scene made me realize that Tempest was the one who actually carried the whole movie on her back. Moreover, she is the best antagonist of G4 for me. Her motivation is not unique, but her character and her backstory are well written. Not just in the movie, but in a book and a comic as well. Tempest is the true reason to like this movie. And Emily Blunt's voice acting is amazing too. Though I wish she kept her British accent, could have been uniquely intimidating since all antagonists in the show, except Stygian, who doesn't talk much anyway, speak with American accents. Now let me introduce to you the true villain of the movie, the Storm King, voiced by Henry Kissinger. Among his hobbies are manipulating, enslaving, and corrupting people. His crimes include mass destruction, murder, assault, kidnapping. So, basically Henry Kissinger. The Battle of Canterlot is pretty impressive, just like Tempest's redemption. Storm King's death seems kind of too brutal, but at least he wasn't turned into stone forever like Cozy Glow. This was the whole story. A lot of plot holes and convenient moments, a lot of great stuff as well. Where were Starlight, Trixie, and most importantly, where was Discord? Discord can literally send anyone to another dimension. He could potentially end Storm King's invasion with a click of his fingers. But in that case, the movie wouldn't have happened. Animation wise, the movie looks mostly decent. Some pretty gorgeous scenes, Mount Eris, Underwater World, Clutch Town has some very interesting steampunk aesthetics. Sometimes the characters look too cartoony for the environment around them, especially in Clutch Town with its dark and dirty aesthetics. Plus the movie looks kinda too dark. Or maybe that's only my problem, I'm not really sure. I'm gonna say that I enjoyed the animation in My Little Pony: A New Generation more, even though I'm not a fan of 3D in general. A New Generation also has a better runtime. It's 8 minutes shorter, but manages to tell a better crafted and a more cohesive story. Though, to be completely fair, A New Generation is an introduction to G5. It's not burdened by a 200 episodes TV show and its lore. Despite all the problems, MLP the movie is still a pretty fun and enjoyable story with the best antagonist of an entire G4, at least in my opinion, and fantastic musical arrangement. Plus it is very nostalgic to me. It was a really cool experience to watch MLP on the big screen, and I wish I could watch A New Generation on the big screen as well. As usual, I am Equestria Guy. See you again.